Today, I'm counting down 10 great sci-fi movies from the 1980s that most people never watched. I've got aliens moving in next door, the end of the world, and Peter Jackson blowing up heads on zero budget. If you make it to the end, I guarantee you'll find at least one movie you've never even heard of. Inception came out in 2010 and everyone went crazy over the idea of entering people's dreams. But back in 1984, Dreamscape got there first. Dennis Quaid plays this guy Alex who's got psychic powers. He does with them what a regular guy would do, uses them to pick up women and win money at the track. He's just screwing around. Then the government finds him and drags him into this project where they can enter and mess with people's dreams. They're using it to help patients with nightmares. Then the president shows up as a patient and somebody decides to kill him in his sleep. So Alex has to stop an assassination that's happening inside a dream. The movie never takes itself too seriously, which is why it works. The dream sequences jump between horror and fantasy and just completely weird stuff. It's got this B-movie vibe, but it's smarter than it looks. There's Cold War commentary in there, but it doesn't beat you over the head with it. The movie just wants you to have a good time. This one's interesting because it never even got a theatrical release. It premiered on PBS, which meant almost nobody saw it at the time, and most people still don't know it exists. The film is based on Ursula Le Guin's novel, and it's about a guy named George Orr whose dreams can literally change reality. When he falls asleep and dreams something, the world reshapes itself to match that dream. His psychiatrist discovers this ability and decides he's going to use it for the greater good, manipulate George's dreams to fix all the world's problems. You can probably guess how well that goes. The Lathe of Heaven is a low-budget TV movie that deals with big ideas. Free will, morality, the nature of reality, whether humans should even try to control their own destiny. The effects are modest, but they work. The performances are solid across the board, and the low-budget aspect actually helps it. The film feels intimate and focused on ideas rather than spectacle. In 1998, Entertainment Weekly named it one of the top 100 greatest works of science fiction, which it deserved. But because it aired on TV instead of playing in theaters, it never became the cultural event it could have been. Tarantino talks about this a lot with streaming now, how films lose impact when they're not released as theatrical events. The same thing happened with TV movies back then. The most expensive Japanese film ever made bombed so hard almost nobody saw it. Virus came out in 1980 and the budget was massive. The story is everyone on Earth dies from a pandemic except for a few hundred people in Antarctica. Then an earthquake triggers automated U.S. missile systems, which triggers Soviet counterattacks, and one of those missiles is headed straight for the survivors. There's huge international cast. They even got Glenn Ford in this. Epic scope, all the pieces were there. Then it flopped, never got a wide release, and eventually somebody cut it down from 156 minutes to 108 for TV. Those cuts destroyed it. The TV version makes no sense half the time. Scenes don't connect, the whole narrative falls apart. That's the version most people have seen if they've seen it at all. But the original cut, the full 156-minute version, is actually great. It's bleak, it's huge, it's smart about Cold War politics. The problem is finding it. The butchered version's been available for years. The good version is much harder to track down. Dune is famous for being the big sci-fi disaster of the 80s. But Enemy Mine lost more money and nobody remembers it. Basically, the same thing happened. Budget out of control, troubled production, millions spent on makeup and effects. Louis Gossett Jr. and Dennis Quaid play space pilots on opposite sides of a war who crash on a hostile planet and have to survive together. The first half is solid. Gossett's alien makeup is impressive. The production design looks good, and watching these two enemies figure out how to not kill each other is entertaining. Then the second half gets sappy, and there's this twist with an alien child that's kinda divisive. The ending feels rushed, like they ran out of money. And the effects are bad even for the 80s. Dune got this huge cult following over the years. People defend it now. Critics went back and said maybe it wasn't that bad. But nobody talks about Enemy Mine, which is weird because it's more watchable than Dune ever was. Joe Dante made Gremlins, which was huge. His next movie should have been a big deal, but it wasn't. Explorers is about 3 kids who build a spaceship because one of them's been getting instructions from aliens in his dreams. They actually build the thing and it works. The movie spends a lot of time showing you these kids' actual lives before the sci-fi stuff happens. One of them is this dreamer who's obsessed with old science fiction movies, and suddenly everything he's fantasized about is real. His friend lives in a broken home where his parents don't give a shit about him. The ending gets pretty cartoonish and silly, but what makes it work is these feel like actual kids, not movie kids. Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix were in it, which is notable now but meant nothing then. The movie bombed and disappeared. Dante's never gotten the credit he deserves. Way before Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson was making movies in New Zealand designed to make you vomit. Bad Taste was his first one. He made it with his friends, basically no money, and he acts in it himself. The plot is government agents trying to stop aliens from turning humans into fast food. That's the setup. Jackson uses it as an excuse to show heads exploding and intestines flying around and all kinds of disgusting gore. Here's the thing though, Jackson made most of the special effects himself, in his mom's kitchen, with almost no budget. The jokes range from actually funny to incredibly stupid. But there are these little moments where you realize this guy actually knows what he's doing behind all the fake blood. He made another one after this called Brain Dead that became a cult classic. Then eventually Hollywood noticed him and he got Lord of the Rings. But this is where it started. The Brother from Another Planet is about an alien who crashes on Earth and looks like a regular black man. He can't talk, but he can read minds. The whole movie is set in Harlem. At first, it seems like a simple fish-out-of-water thing, alien trying to figure out Earth, doesn't understand our customs, that kind of story. But it's not that. The alien's experience mirrors what marginalized people go through. John Sayles said it in Harlem for a reason, and the metaphor is right there without the movie spelling it out for you. Joe Morton plays the alien, and he's great. He doesn't get to speak at all, just facial expressions and body language. The movie has funny moments, clever moments, but underneath it's this socially conscious film about race and being an outsider. People talk about Spike Lee when they talk about important films about race from the 80s. They're right to. But they should also be talking about John Sayles. This movie deserved way more attention than it got. In 1984, Australian director Fred Skepsey made Iceman, which is half sci-fi and half anthropology. Almost nobody saw it. Scientists find a frozen caveman, thaw him out, call him Charlie. One of the scientists, Dr. Stanley Shepard, played by Timothy Hutton, starts getting attached. While they're running tests, the moral problems start showing up. Is Charlie just something they can study, or is he a person? John Lone plays Charlie, and he's why the movie works. Charlie's scared and confused, but he's not stupid. There's real intelligence there. You watch him trying to figure out what's happening, why these people are doing this to him. Lone brings so much depth to it that you actually care about this guy. Probably needed a bigger name attached to get attention. I guess Timothy Hutton wasn't enough, but it goes past the usual sci-fi stuff and asks real questions. This one's from New Zealand. Scientist named Zach Hobson wakes up one morning and everyone on Earth is gone. Not dead, gone. No bodies, no disaster, they've just vanished, and the project he was working on might have caused it. Bruno Lawrence plays Zach, and he's incredible in this. The first part of the movie is just watching him wander around the city alone. You see what total isolation does to somebody. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's brutal. He almost takes his own life at one point. Then 2 other people show up. How they survived when everyone else disappeared gets explained, and in the story's logic, it makes sense. So now you've got 3 people trying to figure out how to live as maybe the last humans alive. The ending here is completely ambiguous. Some people will love it, others will hate it. It's the kind of ending that makes you want to argue about what it means afterward. No wonder it got ignored in America when it came out. It's challenging, it's not fun, it's nothing like Star Wars. But this is exactly the type of premise cult sci-fi movies are made from. James Caan made a buddy cop movie with aliens in 1988. Sounds stupid, right? But here's the thing. It's not really about aliens. The setup is aliens crashed on Earth a few years earlier. They've integrated into society, and Caan plays this cop who hates them. His partner gets killed by one, so he decides to team up with an alien detective played by Mandy Patinkin, thinking it'll help him catch the killer. The whole movie is just about immigration. The aliens are called slags as a slur. They're trying to hold down jobs and fit in, and half the population doesn't want them there. It's not exactly subtle. They made Lethal Weapon but swapped out race issues for literal space aliens, and somehow it works better than it should. Caan's having a blast in it, more fun than anything he'd done since The Godfather. The alien makeup looks cheap, but the movie doesn't need good effects. It's really just asking what happens when a bunch of outsiders show up and not everyone wants them around. Probably hits harder now than it did in 1988.